Ready to make a real impact every day? Join the Active Day Home Care team and help clients maintain their independence in the comfort of their own homes. Make a difference in someone's life as you provide essential daily assistance and protect their health and happiness. Earn up to $20 an hour and enjoy additional perks like optional daily pay, 401k, paid time off, ongoing educational training, and more. Join a team that values care, compassion, and your professional growth. Visit activeday.com to apply.
Stop right there. Yeah, you. If you like all things entertainment, current events, or Hollywood, then look no further. Creator to Creators, hosted by director Meosha of Horror Noir, interviews filmmakers and creatives from around the world. Join in on the fun, guest celebrities, and informative information to have as a creator. Hit subscribe and stay connected to Creator to Creators.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Creators to Creators today. Today we have a special guest.
Benji Casino on the set.
I love it. I love it. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
Of course, of course. I love when I talk to people on the show. I like starting from the beginning because I believe that the beginning kind of shows where we're going in our trajectory in life. So let's start from the beginning. What was your childhood like growing up, and how did you kind of find your way into the music world?
You want to go back to okay. As a child, I was born an only child.
Okay.
To a single white mother. I am biracial. I do not know what those races are. But I was born to a single white woman, and she did her, there's things that come up over the years that as you get older, you might look back like, damn, they could have did this or they could have did that, whatever. But, for the position she was in at the age she was, she did what the best she could have done to raise, a biracial man in America as a white woman from I don't know, she was born in the 70s, so it's like, I don't think she was prepared for how to get me prepared for America, and that's just a whole different conversation. I guess the music stemmed from my teenage years, like middle school going into high school years, because those were the years where I remember where it was the worst years for my mother.
Oh man.
Well, this is the thing about it. She tried her hardest to do the best she could to protect me and raise me to be a gentleman and this and that. But there's just certain things that, like, a 16-year-old, if they want to leave the house, if they want to go out with their friends in the nighttime at 16, they're going to figure a way to go out at 16 and leave the house. You know what I'm saying? The fact that I asked you first, like, hey, I'm about to go out tonight, is just a sign of respect. But once you go to sleep and I know that you're sleeping, I'm going to just slip out the window, and either way I'm out, And I feel like it brought a sense of, like, I don't know, it was just like, I wasn't trying to defy her authority or anything. It was just like a sense of protectiveness growing up of, like, you don't understand what it's like for me,
Okay.
And it was more like a perspective, a differences of perspective of, like, you thinking it's like this when it's really like this. And I'm trying to show you it's like this, but you don't want to see because you believe it's like this.
Mm. Do you think that's because she's a female and not knowing how, and then not, seeing through your lens of, growing up? It's like, it's like difficult to understand your point of view.
Uh, I don't know if it's necessarily because she's a female. Um, you know, I think it's just the way that I don't know. I think it's just the way that the culture, the differences in the cultures, at the time of, you know, everything from what I know, everything comes from our childhood,
Hmm.
right? How we react as an adult, who we are as an adult, our behaviors, our reactions, um, our thought patterns, things of this nature, all stem from what happened as a child.
Hmm.
We're just grown children, you know.
Hmm.
Uh, my mom was born in like the 70s, you know, two white parents, dad in the Air Force, stay at home mom, you know, brothers, sisters, whatever. Me, I was born by, I obviously by a woman, but I was raised by a woman without a father that has a
Right.
completely different skin color than my whole family.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? On top of that, they're trying to raise me to be a man, but you are a female.
Hmm.
So I guess your question does come into play. Like, yes, being a female does have a part of it,
Hmm.
but it's more or less the culture of like you don't under like I was born in '90s, like mid '90s.
Okay. Okay.
So it's like you don't understand how I could walk out the house and catch a case
Yeah.
walking out the house. But you could, you know what I'm saying? You could run three people over and, say the right thing to the police officer and get a warning. You feel me? Like
Yeah.
this was just, and I don't want to get too political on your podcast or nothing, but
Oh, well, we
this is
definitely do sometimes. It's okay. Totally okay.
this
Totally
is
fine.
just it's just reality of the situation at the time. So
Do
um
do you use that like your experience growing up? And like you said, being growing up in Ohio, right? I'm sure
yeah.
that's is adds to the, I guess, severity of going outside as well and being, who you are. Um, how do you incorporate this kind of conversations in your music and like do you express it through song? Like how do you kind of get it off
Um
your chest to
there's so the music I have distributed so far. My first full length album, Mr. Bottle Service, is it's more of a it's more of a collection of songs over the course of when I started recording.
Mhm.
So I started recording probably like 5, 6 years ago.
Mhm.
And there's songs on Mr. Bottle Service from 5, 6 years ago all the way up to the current dates, up to like last year or so. Um, when it comes to my music, my life experience is definitely one of those things that falls into the the major mix up of what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
Um, you know, the experience that I've had with women, the experience I've had with, just daily life, just, you know, court system and this and that. Yeah, my life plays a part in all of that.
Mm-hmm. That's good. I
Now, being in Ohio though, it might be different. It might be a different life than what people understand, but there's what we have Kings Island. Nothing but Kings Island in Ohio, so yeah.
Right. No, I mean, I just can't imagine. I mean, myself, I totally understand what you mean about like just um I grew up in Florida. So in a little small town, and then I was of four, but I was the one that in the family that was like, I have these dreams and these goals I want to pursue. So I was the one that left, the baby of the family that was like, I'm gonna go out and do what I want to do and try this thing. And so, everyone's
Right.
like, oh my God, you're leaving. And I'm like, yeah, you have to. I think you have to, because what I saw growing up was not many opportunities. And, being, my background, my dad is his Cuban descent. So
Okay.
on top of that, it's like how do you fit in and that kind of thing. And so going to Los Angeles, it was like, oh, it opened up just so many other doors to opportunities and different people and diversity. I feel like my, I think sometimes you just got to take a chance on it and just go for it, no matter what people say about like, oh, this is what you're going to stay here. But I think what I like about your music and what I listen to is that you're very open to switching it up and you're you're not stifled to like one thing, which I think is amazing as an artist. Is that something that you like? You don't want to be labeled. I mean, I don't know what do you go by? Do you go by like just an artist where you can just, hey, you want to do a pop song one day, or you want to do, this, however you're feeling? How do you know what you want to talk about and like
I
sound wise?
personally, I call myself an artist just because I don't know how much of my music you have listened to. I don't know what songs you listen to. But one thing that I do know is if you go across my whole platform, starting from Mr. Bottle Service all the way up to the single that's been being promoted uh this past couple weeks, they're completely different. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't matter. You can listen to the single and listen to something back from 2022 and do it all over again. And each song is different than the last. So I like to call myself an artist
I
just
like
because
that.
when it comes to anything, when it comes to music, I'm just inclined in that manner. I'm inclined in that sense of, I can hear a certain instrument and be like, yeah, like in the mix, like that's the one that has to be like that has to be there.
Mm-hmm.
I can hear a certain like I remember this one time I was with some friends or something and something just came out. I forgot what song it was. It was probably like 7 years ago or something. But I heard the song the first time and I was like, this is gonna be a hit song. And they're like, no, it's not. It's not even that good. I was like, give it a month. In a month, it was on the radio, 3 spins a day, three
Nice, nice,
hours.
nice. I love that. I love that. I like that you just know when it's something's good. I always wonder how artists processes like and how do you do the beats yourself as well, or like how hands-on are you in your process of creating music?
I do make beats, but when it comes to me, I'll say I'm all in when it comes to making my music.
Nice.
I I do make beats. There's no beats there's no beats that I made that I have a song released on platforms.
Mm-hmm.
I do have songs that I've made the beats that like. I have a lot of songs that nobody's really heard, but that I made the beats to. But as far as a professional career and being an artist, and I plan on taking it all the way.
All
You
right.
know, there's people that there's people that don't know what they want when
Mm-hmm.
it comes to entertainment or whatever, the entertainment industry. I realized in my life that every time I try to do something different, it always leads me back to music.
Awesome.
If I go and get a regular 9 to 5 job, doing this and that, I always run into somebody that's like, "Hey, I need, anybody that can record me?" It's just like, well, I'm that guy. It doesn't matter where I'm at, what I'm doing. When I lose my way, it always comes back to, the highway of music.
Love that.
And it's only a matter of time before, you have to accept it. You either accept it or keep going through the cycles of ending up in the same places with the same people doing the same shit.
Mm.
So yeah, but I'm sorry. Like I told you, I just woke up, so I'm just
It's okay. No,
when it
it's
comes to my music, I do make beats. But I do not make music on any of my beats. Uh, Yet, I should say, because I do have a couple of them that I do have a couple of beats that go crazy. But
awesome. Awesome. I can't
as
wait.
far as see, every time I do an interview or a podcast or something, people always say, "Oh, well, you said you did the production, but you didn't do the beats." When I talk about doing production is the overall vision of the music. If you want to get technical with it, Beethoven wasn't a producer. He was a composer.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? He's the one that put the symphony together. He's the one that made the drums go with the pianos to go with the violins. He is the composer of the songs. As an artist, the voice is the last instrument to the piece of, to the picture,
Hmm.
So I'm not the composer. I did not compose the songs other than my voice.
Love it.
But I did produce the picture that was painted on the
Nice.
canvas.
Love that.
You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So mixing, mastering,
Nice.
songwriting, sound selection,
Love that.
uh, all that.
That's awesome. I think that's really, really cool. Um, question. So with the new single that's out, what are you hoping for? Are you like gonna be performing it soon? Are you gonna like what's down the pipeline for you right now? What's coming up?
Uh, well, I'm not really sure yet.
Hmm.
Like always, 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 I'll be making music. Um, that's something that just kind of never stopped
Hmm.
over the past decade. Is even taking it serious or not, I was making music. You like last night we was just in the car after leaving the late night spot, just watching watching some live thing about people's music being reviewed,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just like, regardless of what I'm doing, it's usually surrounded by music, listening to music, thinking about music, doing something involving music, drums or something.
Yeah.
So,
Mm-hmm.
um, music is always going to be involved. When it comes, when it comes to the future from here, you know, there's there's only so much an artist can do in
Mm-hmm.
the world that we live in today. I plan on getting some visuals out there.
Yeah, nice.
I plan on, working on a whole nother full length project. But as far as, a career, I promise myself, if I don't get a contract, if I don't get a deal, um, if I don't get real deal money, I gotta do something else. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? Like, we live in a world where everyone and their cousins is trying to be a rapper. You know what I'm saying? Like there's little kids 13 years old out here trying, I'm the next listen to me rap, son. Like, everyone's trying to get into this music, and it's because coming from a place of not having nothing to look at the TV and see these people that came from the same place you're sitting at the moment, and have these $250,000 cars, and out here in Ecuador on a yacht, and be going places that you know you can't even book a flight to a couple states over. These people are halfway across the world, and in Greece eating pizza that you never heard of before. Like, they're living a life that in the public's perception is freedom. They can do what they want, when they want, whenever they want, because they have money to do so.
Well, I mean, I agree with you, but I come from a background of film, and I went to school for cinematography, so I shoot, and then I started my own production company that got into podcasting and did all that and made my own way because I knew no one's going to just give it to you, right?
Right.
It's one of those things you just have to go out and take, because the doors are just. It's one of those things like you. I mean, living in Los Angeles for a long time, I realized there are so many famous people, but not many people are trying to help you figure out the way, right? And so you have to
Right.
just, it's like what Jay-Z said, we never had the tools to survive. He said once you get the tools and you know how to do the thing, you have the tools and you
Yeah.
have the resources. So it's finding those resources, but you get to see the people with the money and the cars. And I always think of it like, if you don't have that inner peace of who you are with inside, the money, the cars won't mean anything, because I mean, we all live once. We don't have
Right.
9 lives, right? So it's just
Right.
figuring out like what is it that makes you fulfilled in life, and then just going hard for that. And then, but again, I think if you're happy now, when you get money, you're going to be even happier then. But if you're unhappy and you have money, it's like it looks happy, but you're just filling it with
it,
things to distract you.
it's not necessarily about just the money. It's not necessarily about just the materials that come with the lifestyle of music.
Sure.
It's more of a I have to provide for myself.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like, how am I gonna eat? There's been times, like, even though, this and that, like, even though I'm in Ohio, like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't spend time in, the hood or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It might not be Chicago, it might not be Detroit, whatever, but regardless, the hood is the hood, or wherever you go,
Yeah.
like, LA's hood is different from Ohio's hood because the environment is different. There's different key fact this and that, but regardless, it's still the hood. You
Hmm.
know what I'm saying? I've had guns, drugs, all that. You know how it goes.
Oh yeah.
It's hard. It's all the same shit, but it's more or less like when it comes to what I was talking about with catching a deal or whatever. It's like I'll forever make music. Even if I don't catch a big break or whatever, I'll probably still be the engineer that, produce the next person that blows up, out of Ohio because I'm just I have that ear, I can mix, master, produce, make beats, songwrite. I got the whole package.
Yeah.
Um, but it comes down to, survival. You
Hmm.
know, if if I'm getting 8 cents a stream and I only have, 100,000 streams and I'm making $800 a year off music or whatever, $800 a year ain't feeding me. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
That's gas money for the year. It's like and that's really where my mentality is at. Is like if some real deal money doesn't come in, I have to figure some other options out because it's not about having the chains and the cars and the girls. It's about you know I don't want my family to go through what I went through.
Right. I get.
I don't
Yeah.
want. I know that's something you can relate to too. Is like you being who you were at the time of you leaving everything you knew in Florida to go follow your dreams. That takes a very special type of confidence and also a very strong spiritual connection to your intuition of knowing that like I'm gonna leave here and make this happen. You have to know within yourself, like deep in your heart, like it's gonna be okay. Like I know I'm gonna come across some obstacles along the way, but I'll make my way. That's something you have to feel and hear because if you don't feel it in here, you're not gonna feel it out here.
Right.
You know what
Right.
I'm saying? And that's something you could directly relate to. So I'll say the same way about music for me is like I don't want my I don't want my kids, I don't want my, the next generations of my bloodline to have to go through what I went through, to have to, be in the hood around drugs and,
Yeah.
guns and this and that. Like I wanna, I want my kids to have a regular life, not have to
Absolutely.
struggle,
Hmm.
not have to, figure out what it's like to be in the house with no lights or no heat
Hmm.
or no food, no blankets. It's just it comes down to like I said, survival.
Hmm.
In the
Absolutely.
way that everybody and their cousin is trying to be the next greatest thing. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you got it. You got it. And you're very talented. And like you said, I mean, you have so many things that you do within, creating you're the full package. So you're already a step ahead of a lot of people. But which is awesome. And I wish you all the best. And I know, you're gonna continue to thrive and, kill it because I mean your music's really good and great quality work that you're putting out there. So I mean, congrats to you and all that you're doing. Where can people find you on social media so they can follow you and support the music and see what follow your journey?
With social media, I have IG and Twitter. I just made a Twitter because I realized that there's a lot of networking on Twitter that I wasn't aware of. You know, out here in Ohio, we're big Facebook people, but Facebook isn't. It's not what it seems. So, IG. I'm on Instagram, Benji Casino. Uh, that's just what it is, Benji Casino. It's like it's just destined to be.
Love
Uh,
it. Love it.
there's no numbers, no underscore. It's just Benji Casino.
Love that name. Love that name. It's like it's like nice. I want to know who that is. That name is like, yeah,
Yeah.
that guy. That guy.
It does
Thank
have a
you.
nice ring to it,
Yeah,
doesn't
it does. It really does.
it?
Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story and just some really interesting point of views and perspectives. I really appreciate your time. I'm so sorry we're kind of running out of time, but definitely, guys, follow him, support the music, check him out on social media. You're not going to be disappointed. It's great music, and it's you're gonna have a lot of fun. So, thank you again for coming on. I appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, of course. And thank you guys for listening. And always remember to live, love, laugh. We'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.